Hey guys, how you guys doing? We got another update as it pertains to North Korea. This morning, the United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting as it pertained to North Korea and their nuclear test that they did yesterday. Nikki Haley had some pretty strong words to say. She said that Kim Jong-un was begging for war, that enough is enough. She laid out the past resolutions over the last 2 decades and stated that these resolutions from the United Nations really didn't do anything to stop North Korea. And that's one of the first times I've ever really agreed with Nikki Haley. The United Nations is a huge joke, and these resolutions, you can make as many resolutions as you want, and you can make them as strong as you want, and still North Korea is going to get outside help, whether that be from Chinese companies, from China itself, from Russia maybe. Speaking of Russia and China, they acted pretty moderate during the meeting today, stating that sanctions weren't really the answer, that being brought to the table, that's the only way that this whole entire situation would be solved, was the 6-party talks. Nikki Haley talked about how the freeze-for-freeze option that that Russia and China have talked about was insulting. The freeze-for-freeze is the U.S. stopping military drills with South Korea and Japan, and in turn, North Korea would stop their missile and nuclear program. In a perfect world, the freeze-for-freeze option makes sense. But North Korea has already stated that their nuclear program and their missile program are off the table. So that's why Nikki Haley kind of scoffs at the whole negotiations. That they're just not going to happen. This is a country that will not be brought to the table. But Nikki Haley stated enough was enough. The U.S. is done playing. It seems ever more likely that war will be coming to the Korean Peninsula. We've got some more information. The U.S. is apparently sending a aircraft carrier back to Korea. We've also talked about deploying bombers to the Korean Peninsula, as well as the payloads that we put onto South Korean missiles. Apparently that's been nixed. They're going to be as strong as they need to be. There will be no restrictions. South Korea's military earlier today stated that North Korea may be preparing to fire an ICBM on a standard trajectory towards the Pacific. So we might see that slated for this week. It may happen around this Saturday or Friday in the United States. They have an anniversary. It's a holiday for them. And the big question for that would be, guys, is if this missile test occurs, an ICBM test occurs, how does the U.S. react to these missiles at this point? Because we know they have an H-bomb that can fit on a missile. They have a working ICBM. They've done nuclear tests. They've done these missile tests. Do we treat every missile test as a hostile act and try to shoot it down or respond in some military fashion? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. General Mattis was pretty clear that we could annihilate North Korea, though we don't really want to. We have the options to do so. Trump yesterday was briefed on the military options. With all this military movement starting to pick back up and all the different emergency meetings that we are happening, and even in Trump's own words when asked, are we going to attack North Korea, and he said, we'll see. It definitely seems like a second Korean War, or a continuation of the Korean War, will be taking place pretty quickly. The U.S. also talked about ending all trade with countries that do business with North Korea, and China called that unfair and unacceptable. We've been talking on this channel a lot about China has been helping North Korea. China is not here on the U.S.'s side, and that is true. China also said during the meeting today that they would not accept a war on their doorstep. It's unacceptable to them. A lot's unacceptable to them. They're not helping with North Korea. They are a loophole for North Korea, and they're making the matter a whole lot worse. And I really feel like something big is coming. We'll have to see. As more information comes out, guys, we'll definitely talk about it. We're here to inform you, not to tell you how you have to think. Make sure to check back, guys. grab a beer, say a few prayers, and keep your eyes to the skies, because we're going to have to see how the U.S. responds to this next missile threat. It'll be interesting to see, and it's getting scary, guys.